Okay, so I'm looking at what you did here, and I read what you wrote. And let's talk about again how we pick our numbers. So you start the row because when you read your answer, you got, like you said, you got x equals 0, y equals 0. Those are perfect. So now you're seeing here q equals -6, um, r equals 4, and s equals 8. So therefore, yes, we are starting this first row, and we're looking for the largest positive number in this row. So the largest positive number is 3. Now, that does not mean we're going to pivot around the 3. That just means we're going to go in the y direction. So we still need to pick our pivot the old-fashioned way. We still do the ratios just like you did in the simplex method, the standard simplex. So 6 divided by 3, the ratio would be 6 divided by 3, which makes 2. This is 4 divided by 1, so this one would be 4, and this is 8 divided by 1, so this is 8. So you did correctly pivot around the 3, but I think maybe a little bit by luck. The reason you pivot around the 3 is because it has the smallest ratio. Because, again, think about it just how we were in every other problem. You're looking for the first y-intercept. This is the first y-intercept, this graph right here. So we're going to walk to that first graph until we run into its y-intercept. So then your pivot looks good, and then I'm wondering if this may also be causing some issue. You ended up with a whole bunch of negative answers. So, and I never thought about it until just looking at your work and kind of reading your issues. Make sure if you have a negative, multiply through by a -1 to make all of your values positive. So that way you'd have a +5, +1, +3, and +18, and then here we'd have a -4, +1, +3, +6. So that way, in this case, it doesn't turn out to be an issue, because when you look, there's no rows to star. We have x equals 0, y is 2, q equals 0, r is 2, and s is positive. So why is my brain not working? 6. But the deal here is, if this, let's just imagine one of them were to come out negative. I'm worried that when you go to read your row, let's pretend that this row here was starred. If that row were starred, you'd be looking for your largest positive number, and if you didn't change them all to, if you didn't change it so that this 18 was a positive, you would actually then be looking for the largest negative number. So every time in one of your constraints you end up with a negative, multiply through to make it all positive. That may be what's causing some of the confusion for you as you're working through. If you feel like sometimes things aren't working out right, it may be that. But otherwise, everything else looks good. Your pivot's fine. But again, I think you got your pivot a little bit by luck. You don't always pivot around the largest number. That's just telling you the direction to go in. So then we still do our ratios like we would in a standard simplex. So I'll say it one more time. So again, just to make sure, when we check the ratios, you're not checking them all around the 3. You go in the column because we're looking for intercepts. So it's because this first equation is really saying to you 3y equals 6. The second equation is saying 1y equals 4. And the third equation is saying y equals 8. Excuse me. My wrist just hit that by accident. Y equals 8. So therefore, the second row gives you a y-intercept of 4. The third row gives you a y-intercept of 8. And the first row, when we divide that through, gives us a y-intercept of 2. So there's our winner. All right. Let me know if that helps.